All right, so we did some fonts, typefaces, we looked at logos. Also, we had done photography, right? Where I spoke to you guys about the rule of thirds, as well as the golden ratio. Then the difference between a photographer and a picture taker, right? Where a picture taker is someone that just take a camera and they click away. A photographer takes light into consideration, right? All they do is paint with light. Light is the thing that helps them create. Where is that slide? Come on now. Not sharing the screen. That would be helpful. All right, yes. So photographers, what they do, they paint with light. Then it's that golden ratio, situation, the rule of thirds, and how that can help with the way you frame things as well as your photography goes. Right? That's all going to boil down again back to the message that you're trying to communicate. Right? We were looking to communicate with words. We also need to communicate with visuals. So, is photography something that you can work with in terms of still also communicating, if not the whole message, part of your message, right? And we talk about photography a little bit in the point of our photographer, the type of pictures that he may do to kind of pull you in. They may not relate to the rule of thirds, but it may be a way that you feel more emotionally attached to what's going on in the photo because you're going to be emotionally attached to the characters in the book. Then that could be a way that he's successful, he or she is successful in. Also, moving his message along. Also, we looked at these types of images where there is something wrong with them, and we're looking at your ability to identify what those are and think of ways to correct them. Right, it's definitely going to be part of photography because not every photo is going to look right. You might take a photo, and because of the lights that you have, it looks different. But then it's also how light can change things. Like I have a bunch of lights in here. That's why even though it's so late, you guys can still see me. All right, so I have a light over here in that corner, over here. So if I was to take out one, all right, you can tell that my life is a little bit more moody. All right, I suddenly have a shadow right here, and that wasn't there before. Maybe it was there. It's a lot more subtle when this other light is on, off. Right? So that's photography. You are able to manipulate light to either give you different moods, different tones, just different, well, messages, for lack of a better word, are able to come out from how you decide to use photography. That took us into photography as it relates to our studies. If you have to use photos for any projects or anything, it shows you guys how you can grab things from Google Images, how the difference in these sizes can make a difference in the quality of the photos that you get, how you can search for high res photos, low res photos, medium res photos, all that fun stuff. All right, which eventually took us into copyright. We're going to get there in a second. This relates back to the conversation we had about the author, what types of photos we think will help sell the mood of that individual. So since we're on the topic of copyright, Let me just pull that back up real quick. We went into it twice. Second time was better. All right. How are you all to be back here? You're okay. All right. So copyright, as we were learning, copyright pretty much applied as soon as you do something. All right. As long as you create something, anything of yours, that immediately has copyright. However, this little symbol here that if you see, that is only really necessary. It's only something you need to apply for if you want to enforce your copyrights. All right. Now, spoke about copyright infringement, how someone's likeness, how they look in real life, and if that's taken and turned into other things, how that can be seen as copyright infringement, how there may be some nuances, some, it's a good way to put this. Not necessarily ways to get around it, but if it is different enough from the original and it doesn't take away from what the original was, that is a way that you can be free from that copyright infringement. All right. It now becomes falls into a different category as far as the law is considered. Law is concerned, sorry. Right? And knowing that fine line would allow you to um, knowing what you need to go after based on your client's case, or what you need to protect yourself from just in case something else happens. So I know I gave you the example of that song that was created by AI with Drake and The Weeknd, where it sounds like them, but it wasn't them. How that might be a case for legal action, right? Where someone is creating something using your voice. Um, but it's just a lot of different layers from it. So for where we are at right now in this context of being in school, it's just really good to know what exists out there so you can kind of guide what you could probably just stay away from just to be safe. All right, so I mentioned this, copyright attaches as soon as the original work is created. Right, as soon as you do that, copyright is attached. Um, but facts, ideas, systems, and methods are different. They require a different layer of protection. Copyright is not going to do that. Something like patents, something like trademarks, those are what's able to help you with those. You could trademark things like phrases, words, sounds. You guys are familiar with the phrase, you've got mail. Possibly not, but back in the day, there was an email platform called America Online or AOL. And whenever you receive mail on AOL, you will hear, you've got mail, something like that. And they were able to trademark that particular phrase so that they're the only ones who can use it. There are other phrases like Taco Tuesdays, which is things that we say, like a lot like man fresh Mondays, woman fresh Wednesdays. Those could be trademarked by someone. I don't know the category that they will fall under, but those are things that people could have done to secure their position in the existence of things. Right? But that's a trademark situation. It's not where we're at, looking at copyright. I gave you 3 tips to avoid copyright infringement. One was understanding the law. 2 was stay away from third-party images. And 3 was being creative. Right? If you're creative, you don't got to worry about possibly fall into a place where you may seem to be plagiarizing, right? Where you can, if you could take something, use it as inspiration and make it better, you've created something new. It's not the old thing that you had, something new. So then it's more difficult to prove copyright infringement occurred. Right? Now, within this same space, give you guys some tips for what happens if someone steals your work. Not specifically your work, but it could be your client's work. This is where it talks about, someone using your voice. Right? The great difference between inspiration, plagiarization, where we spoke about bootleg versions, we spoke about just what it's called, parodies, something that's specifically created for entertainment, based on usually comedy and entertainment, but based on something that already exists. All right, so if we had the voice, but let's say in the voice, you're looking for bad singers, then it's like a TV show with the same concept, still someone singing on stage, still 4 judges, still the 4 judges turn around and they choose someone. But what makes it comedic is it's the complete polar opposite of what we would expect. We then went further and we went to fair use as far as copyright is concerned, where you can use copywritten material, but because of this thing called fair use, you're able to get away with it. You're not going to get into any trouble. It's not going to demerit you or anything like that. Fair use means that you are free to use this particular thing. So there are a couple of areas. If you are in school, so school context, you can't claim copyright. And news reporting, yes, you're going to have to talk about the thing. You're probably going to have to show the thing, all of that. And because of what it is, you will be free from that copyright issue. Criticisms, right? If you're a critique, if you go places, you eat food, and then you rate food, all of that. Teaching is a place. And definitely parody, as mentioned before. So this took us into week 3, week 4. Here we also started to cover sound recording and video recording. So the different rules of capture for those two, how you can make your audio quality better by some inexpensive ways. Stuff like turning off anything that could give the extra noise, getting a better camera, a better microphone. God, I was losing. All right, so another thing that goes into the visual communication of what we do is hierarchy, right? You know, the hierarchy of headings, the things like the headline, the biggest text that's usually associated with um, a graphic that has image and text on it, right? How do we then decide what's big, what's small, what implications do we have as far as the reading goes? Like if you have it there, then it's obviously trying to communicate something. The bigger thing is going to grab your attention first. The smallest thing is probably going to be the last thing to read. So how is that going to impact your messaging? How that's going to impact um, how you design different elements, right? So that hierarchy isn't just there to look cool, but it tends to be there for specific reasons. And things like magazine covers, they help us make that make more sense. The biggest thing on here, the quickest thing to see, the easiest thing to see is noise. Why? It's the masthead. It's the name of the magazine. Noise. Everything is black and white. Guess what? Noise is, what is that? Like a really light salmon. Like it's got the orange in there, but really, really light orange. A lot of whites in there. But we have that as a title. The next biggest thing there, style. Oh, it's not English. Yeah. The next thing right after the masthead that you can see is that biggest set of text right here. Then we have supporting cover lines. Then probably this. So I guess it depends on the journey that your eyes go on. But because it's so big, you want to read that first. Then you want to come to the next biggest thing, and next biggest thing, next biggest thing, and then go to the small stuff. Interesting little X, Z, zigzag type journey that you take your eye on. But not everything is as straightforward as this. Sometimes you get stuff like this. It's a lot different in terms of the way that they put those words together, how they choose what's really, really big, the fonts that they may tend to use. Right? So as you go through the course, you may start to think about things a lot differently. Right? Why are we making these decisions? And how are they going to impact how people take the information, how they read the information? Can you translate this more to if you think in distribution, you're thinking about online, social media, YouTube. If this was a Instagram post, because you know the context is that artwork, that graphic is not going to be on my phone. The question of what do I want people to remember, to take away when they are when they're looking at our content, right? You're gonna put that text big if it needs to be on there, right? Because depending on content, depending on where you're putting the work, you might choose to what am I saying? Um, right, depending on the context, you might choose to not use text at all and just keep it imagery and then just let everything go in the caption. But if you choose to put text on an image, then you're gonna have to think about a few other things, right? Because you want people to read it. Is it going to be big enough to be read? And if I wanted all of this, like this makes sense on a screen, on a laptop or a computer screen, because you may be able to get to read this. But if this was a social media post, something on Instagram, would you put this on there? What do you guys think? You think this would make sense to add?
No, because it's too big and then like it's a lot of words at the side.
Yeah,
So Instagram is not really a reading platform.
yeah, 100%. At most, I would this hey, he's talking to us might be able to go, but this for sure, nah, way too small. That's a waste of time. If you really wanted to put it in there, you could probably do a carousel, but still, you don't want a whole bunch of text going on, right? And then these two ads here, still dealing with hierarchy, like what's big, and then what's smaller, like where does your eye go? You got this is the headline, this is the beginning of a bunch of smaller text, but it's a big letter, so it kind of gets your attention, right? This could be the headline or the section of whatever this is. So it's big, but you know, you get an idea. Basically, as far as hierarchy go, size matters, and the bigger it is, the more important it tends to be. Um, we went on to think about hierarchy now in the context of signage. Right? How we use that big small text. How we separate the information, like what do we have close together, right? For directional signs, you can see there's, even if we tap back a little bit to our Ellenberg principles of design, automatically you can see there's some repetition. 3 of these line arrows, 3 of these line arrows. The text is at the top, followed by the distance. Text is at the top, followed by the distance. Arrow shape, right? So you can see how repetition comes into play in something like this. Because we're at the same zoo or animal sanctuary, all of this signage is similar in the look. There's a graphic, there's a headline, there's another language. All of that's happening to tie that information together, right? We know what to expect from that hierarchy, the way that everything works together. So between 3 and 3, 4, and then 5, we'll talk about video. Video. If I'm okay. Yeah, I was trying to find another clip, another PowerPoint. Sorry,
Okay.
because I got 2 monitors here, so I looking at one and looking at the other one. So that would explain me left and right.
Like if you're gonna fall off that chair and fall in your bed.
Well, it's been a long, long day. Long, like 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. Going.
Oh, you get some sleep soon.
Yeah, hope so, but we'll see. All right, video. Is sharing? No, it's not sharing. Share screen. Boom. All right, so we also went into video, right? Kind of broke down, and we said that the story is like the most important part of the video, right? And you remember seeing that video about the, what was that called? The guys in the forest, the old president and this other guy in the forest. That was the whole theme of the story. But then it took you along this journey, and because this story was all about the forest, everything that you saw, try to show as much as the forest as possible, right? It goes back to the message. The whole essence of the video is showing you this is how these national parks came to be, right? So if that is the message and the medium that we're using this video, how can we show off these national parks as much as possible? So they made sure that all their videos were wide, right? They made sure you could see as much as possible. Let's see there. See as much as possible in the frame.
Today's
Oh, that's the wrong one. Anyway, they made sure you could see as much as possible in the frame. So when they were walking through, the shots of walking through, walking on these giant logs, you can still see that there are mountains in the background. You can see there are lots of trees. All of that was happening, right? Because of the purpose of the video. But along with the video, it's going to be audio, right? It's going to be the sound design, where the clips have, where is it? Let's see here. Right?
Yeah, so as
So you remember in this video, I don't know if the audio was sharing, but in that video, you remember there were all those extra sound effects. And then we found out that he actually made a bunch of those sound effects. They weren't real, but from listening, from watching it the first time, they added a bunch to it, right? Now that goes back to the message. What is the message we're trying to put across in these videos? The message that we're trying to put across in our content. If it's a podcast, and let's say your client is funny, then it's possible that he may have in the middle of the podcast some sound effects, right? If someone says something, you might get it, yay. If they say something and it's not that funny, it's more of a fail, you might get the wah 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 sound effect or something like that in there, right? And because of who your client is, the message is my client is funny. So therefore, I gotta add some fun stuff in here so that everything ties together and it makes sense, right? And you're able to add those things even after you film. So I saw some of you sent some of the podcasts over. I am looking forward to listening and seeing what's up, to see if you added some stuff in the background that really brings it to life. If you did video as well with that. So like this is like my favorite part of this program, is just seeing what you guys are able to do, what you come up with, and if you implement a good set of stuff that you would have learned. All right, so knowing that video is important, knowing that in video the story is important, right? But then also knowing that the audio that you have can help make that even bigger, right? We have these tips on how you can get great sound, even in the context of you being at school, even without the big super equipment that all these studios have. All right, where anything that you don't want to be heard, make sure you turn it off, put it out of the room, something. All right, so silence everything you don't want your mic to record. All right, put your phone on airplane mode. If you happen to be filming with your phone, you definitely want on airplane mode. You don't want someone's phone call to interrupt you in the middle of recording. So you just take the time, put in the airplane mode, so no one can call you and you get your filming back. Right? Minimize the echo. Hopefully you guys aren't hearing these crazy crickets because they're super loud to me, but chances are you're not really gonna hear them. Right? You want to get rid of echoes. Spoke about how you can do that. You want to block the wind from reaching the mic. And that can come from a couple ways. Either A, don't go outside filming when it's windy, or B, protect your microphone a bit. There are different things that you can add on. Or even put in what we call a pop filter over the mic. Right? So that's gonna stop the sound of just the wind passing through. Like, I mean, you guys have had phone calls with people when you're out in public, and sometimes it just sounds so windy you can't hear what the other person is saying. But they're talking as if they can't hear the wind. And it usually is the case. It's pretty weird. When you're in a windy place talking, you feel the wind, but you don't hear it. But the person on the other hand is hearing you talking, and at the same time, it's like, and it's all kinds of weird. All right, so block the wind. Sure, you can upgrade the mic. Definitely a way to go. One of the last ways you consider this ADR. And to put it simply, all this means is record whatever it is, and then you go back and you do the recording again outside of the live moment. That works best if there's a script, like movies use this as a tool pretty often. They can film the movie, and then because of the script, you can go back and record the script in the studio, so you get that perfect sound, but you get all the obviously as an actor now you gotta put all that pizzazz in it, but they get the audio that matches the good video, so now they get the best of both worlds. All right, obviously now you have to say everything, you gotta phrase everything perfectly, you gotta do it to time, because when people are hearing it, it needs to match up with what they're seeing. Like, I can't watch movies where the audio is out of sync with the video. It's just very distracting to me. What else? What else? That's like 5, 6. Hierarchy, yes. Print as final output. I think I skipped that. Storytelling, yes. Editing, yes. Copyright, sure. All right. The only other stuff we didn't cover in class are things that don't usually make it onto the exam. There's management of your devices, which pretty much is just saying, you know, I mean, if you have a laptop, make sure you got virus protection. Don't go on random websites online. Don't open strange emails. Having a filing system, you know what I mean, back up your work to a cloud or a flash drive or something like that. You know, just making sure that your device is in as good working order as possible. They're not popped down and about to die, right? That would be one of the best ways to secure your device and make sure there's good management going on. Communication devices, I think we mentioned that earlier class. Again, this is going to be a way that you are looking to, again, communicate that message. So what is the best way to do that, right? Are you going to be using, is a laptop going to be best? Is a phone going to be best? Is a tablet going to be best? So depending on what you have to do, you might choose different media, all right? Where if you think about it from a school standpoint, if you have something like Google Cloud, not Google Cloud, what am I talking about? Google Drive, right? You can easily write notes for your class on your phone, save them to Google Docs. When you get, let's say at lunch, you can always pull up the Google Doc on your laptop, update it, add whatever picture you need, share it to your group using Google Drive, and now you're able to collaborate better, right? Just because you have this one tool. yeah, I think surprisingly, that is pretty much the semester here. Theory. Actually, stop recording.